If you want to get the best results with intermittent fasting, you have to be following the best hours. But the big question I always get is it 12 hours? Is it 16 hours? Is it 18 hours? Or do you have to be doing one meal a day to get incredible results with intermittent fasting on a day-to-day basis? Well, in this video, I'm going to use a study to reveal to you what is happening in your body hour by hour when you're intermittent fasting so that you can know with 100% certainty that you are getting the absolute best results. So let's go ahead and dive in. But before we do, I'm Dr. Zyrowski, and thanks for hanging with me on the channel today. If you are someone who loves staying on the razor's edge of natural health, I have a natural health community called Health Club that I'd love to see you in. If you want to join Health Club and learn the same clinical tips that I use in my practice every single day to help people heal naturally, go ahead and join Health Club. I'll put a link in the description below. Now let's go ahead and dive into the best hours for intermittent fasting. And what I'm going to actually refer to is a study here. And the study is called A Whole Body Model for Glycogen Regulation Reveals a Critical Role for Substrate Cycling in Maintaining Blood Glucose Homeostasis. Okay, I know that that's a lot of information right there. However, what I'm going to reveal to you is what is happening hour by hour in your body physiologically that will prove that intermittent fasting not only offers incredible results, but will also show us the hours in which we have to intermittent fast in order to get real good results. So what we're going to refer to is this graph here. And this graph is going to look at your blood glucose, your glycogen levels, your glucagon levels, your insulin levels, free fatty acids, and your blood ketones. Now, these are all very important physiological factors when it comes to intermittent fasting because it really proves when the results are happening within your body. And I'll explain as we go. So the first thing that we're going to look at on this graph here is going to be your blood glucose. Now, your blood glucose is going to be demonstrated over here by this green line. Now, along the bottom here, you can actually see the hours, and these are going to be the fasting hours in which these individuals had fasted in the study. And then above here, we're going to see all of these different lines. Specifically, let's start with the blood glucose one, which is the green line. Now, as you can see here, this blood glucose line, as soon as the fast starts, it actually drops down quite a bit, meaning the blood sugar drops, it starts to stabilize, and then you're going to see at about that 13-hour mark, there is a huge dip in the blood glucose. And then after that, it rebounds back to a new baseline. One of the things I want to draw your attention to is that when the new baseline is set with the blood glucose, it's much lower than it initially was. The reason that that matters is because that's very powerful for overall healing. That's the difference between a type 2 diabetic and somebody who is not. So anyway, that is really cool to see a new baseline set just from intermittent fasting. Now, let's go ahead and look at the glucagon. Now, the glucagon is demonstrated by this checkered blue line right here. This checkered blue line is really interesting because when you look at glucagon, essentially what it is going to do is counteract the effects of insulin, meaning that whatever insulin does in the body, it is going to do the opposite. Now, the purpose of glucagon is to release stored sugar in the body. So the pancreas is releasing this glucagon in order to start releasing stored sugar in the muscle, in the liver, and so on and so forth. So therefore, your body has burnt through the blood sugar at this point, and now it's saying, we need more sugar. So let's go and turn to the stored sugar within the system. Now, the next line I want to draw your eyes to is going to be this solid black line, and this is going to be the glycogen. Now, glycogen is that stored sugar that we were just referring to. It's stored sugar in the liver and in the muscle tissue. And what happens is you can see that this stored sugar drops off completely here. And you're going to find that it drops off all the way to nothing, meaning that we are burning through the stored sugar in the body. And when we hit about that 12-hour mark, it's completely gone. Okay, so as the glucagon, which we just talked about, increases, we see this and then increases again right around the 13-hour mark. We also see that blood glycogen completely gone. Okay, so if you think about this, what has to happen at this point is that we have burnt through the blood sugar. We have burnt through all the stored sugar in the body. And this is where our body is forced to become metabolically flexible and start burning fat for energy. So now let's talk about insulin. Insulin's demonstrated by this checkered orange line right here. And when we look at insulin, we're seeing as the fast starts, it drops. And then once we get to that 13-hour mark, it's going to drop again, and then it's going to stabilize right throughout the rest of this fast. So we can actually see here, just like the blood sugar did, we had set a new baseline for the insulin. This is important if you're somebody who's trying to lose fat, if you're somebody who is trying to heal from insulin resistance. This is going to be a really important aspect of healing, and that is setting a new and lower baseline of that insulin to function. And you can see now we're actually pulling that off through simple intermittent fasting on a daily basis. Now, moving on from that, we're going to see the free fatty acids. Okay, free fatty acids is going to be represented by this checkered black line. And this is really cool because basically when we see free fatty acids, we are thinking now that our body's actually burning fat for energy. We're going to see that we see a first spike right around the 2 to 3 hour mark. And then we see a huge spike right around the 12 to 13 hour mark where it just peaks out significantly, okay? What this is showing us now is that lipolysis is starting to occur in the body. Our body is now burning fat for energy. Now, we are becoming, at this point, a fat burner. So initially, when you start the fast, when you're intermittent fasting, you're probably a sugar burner. And then through the fasting process, your body is going to become a fat burner because we're seeing the activation of these free fatty acids skyrocket right around that 13-hour mark. Now we're going to look to the ketones. Okay, if you're familiar with ketones, this is going to be a byproduct of burning fat for energy. And these ketones are very healing for the body. This is the benefit of following the ketogenic diet. We know that we're in the fat burning mode if we're seeing these ketones, and we also know that we're healing our brain and offering a lot of just healing benefits in general to the entire body. So therefore, we see as this fast continues, the ketones really start to skyrocket more around the 15 to 16 hour mark and then continue to go up. And this is why if you do, let's say, 1 meal a day, you're really skyrocketing those ketones versus if you do a shorter fast, you may not be getting any benefit at all from the ketones. So what does this tell us? What this ultimately tells us, this study, is that there is massive physiological changing happening in the body as soon as you start fasting. But if we really want significant change, we have to at least be getting to that 13-hour mark. And that's where the big changes occur, right? We're not even getting changes prior to that. So I'll have many people in my clinic ask me, well, can I just fast to 12 hours? And it's like, well, it's better than nothing. I fully agree with that. However, is there a tremendous benefit? No, it's not the same benefit that you would get with a longer intermittent fast because many of the changes occur at that 13 to 14 hour mark, meaning that we at least want to get to that 16-hour mark. Now, if you look back at this chart here, one of the things you're going to see is that once you get to about that 16-hour mark, many changes have been made in the body at this point. So from a metabolic flexibility standpoint and just a healing the metabolism standpoint, those changes that have occurred are very beneficial. However, if you want to really continue to ride out those benefits, you're going to want to keep fasting. So certainly we're getting a tremendous benefit with a 16 and 8 intermittent fast. If you go to 18 hours, if you go to 20 hours, if you go to even 1 meal a day, you're going to get even further benefits. So if we want to get the initial benefits, 16-hour fast is really the bare minimum there. But if we want to further those benefits on a day-to-day basis, that's where the 1 meal a day practice is highly beneficial because you're seeing the blood ketones rise rapidly when we start getting to that 16 plus hour mark. And those blood ketones are going to be, as I said many times, very healing for the brain, the body. Many people who have higher levels of ketones are going to find that neurologically they feel better. Their brain feels better. Cognitive function improves. Memory improves. So therefore, there's a lot of benefit to that. So as we look at this process here, of what do we have to do in order to get benefits with intermittent fasting? What hours do we have to follow? 16 and 8 is your minimum. Above and beyond is just the icing on the cake, so to speak. All right. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski. And if you love this one, I bet you'll love this one over here.